obviously been huge transformations to society from technology. Artists need to be a part of that conversation and need to figure out what are the implications of technologies both on society itself and also what are the aesthetic possibilities or implications of those technologies. My name is Golan Levin. I'm a professor of new media art at Carnegie Mellon University. I'm a new media artist, which it means that I'm an artist who makes art by writing code. I try to figure out how can the technologies that are transforming into everyday life be used in ways that maybe people aren't expecting to create new kinds of artistic expression. This project is called Ghost Pole Propagator, which is a kind of classic interactive style format where people's bodies are being transformed by a camera system and then projected into patterns with a laser beam. In a way, I'm kind of making new cave paintings for the 21st century. The figures that people will be making on the wall with their bodies are these kinds of stick figures that are produced through a kind of algorithmic transformation of their silhouettes. As they're being looked at by a camera system, their bodies are being transformed into these sort of very poetic, super minimal stick figures. You could think of it almost as a kind of a poetic surveillance system that is obviously looking at their bodies or recording them, which obviously is, redolent of the climate of surveillance that we now know we live in. But maybe sort of taking a kind of a more poetic interpretation of what it means to be surveilled and thinking about looking at our bodies in ways that anonymize us. Even though they're sort of ultra minimal and there's no easy way to sort of see who it could have been, there's actually a lot of character that's maintained. The way that people are observed, the way they move, the very subtle ways that they hold their bodies, their postures, their characteristic gait, or their particular way of moving in the world is all transduced to these kind of stick figures in a way that preserves the humanity of the subjects without necessarily preserving their specific identity. So these are open-ended works whose actual manifestation, whose visual display represents a negotiation between what I've made as a kind of algorithm designer and what the participant brings to it with their own body and their sort of performance. Sometimes when people really are good at new media art, they almost invent the future too well. There's a lot of good examples of this where the artist has kind of predicted the future by implementing it, and it becomes such a part of everyday life that everyday technologies you wouldn't even recognize had been actually kind of conceived by artists 20, 30 years ago, and now they're just like part of the fabric of everyday life. That's the way it obtains longevity, and maybe at the expense of being remembered as an artwork.